Munster's herding cats and ducks in a row.
Munster's herding cats and ducks in a row.
Stretching, rolling, crawling, and light contact improv for adults and baby or toddler friends. Readings of selected excerpts from children's books and Moyra Davey's Mother Reader. Read by
Mémé, Christina Linden, Mama, Allison Smith, and Claude.
First step. Settling in.
Settling in. Baby's in the middle.
Spread blankets or mats on the floor. Make a circle. If you have babies or toddlers with you, put them in the middle of the circle so that they cannot escape. Watch and observe the babies move as you listen to the text. Beautiful. He stirs up still things. Exhaustion. The mind settles down. But come, O beloveds, for day is near. Sappho, from Anne Carson's If Not, Winter.
Breathe in.
Cross your legs. Sit up straight. Keep watching the babies. See if you can take 6 long, slow breaths, one after the next.
Pause the track. Play some music. Okay, next one.
Care is therefore not just like any manifestation of one's own power to do this or that, but is something that one is empowered to do by someone else to whose needs one responds. If the power to care is of a different kind, could it lead to an alternative concept of what it means to act, not based on the belief that actions result from our own capacities or talents, but built on the realization that they can also be called forth by the need of the other? Jan Verfurt from Personal Support, How to Care.
Stretching.
Take time for some of your favorite stretches. Don't forget child's pose at the end.
But who gives it, and to whom is it given? Certainly it doesn't feel like giving, which implies a flow, a gentle handing over, no coercion. But there is scant gentleness here. It's too strenuous, the belly like a knotted fist, squeezing the heavy trudge of the heart. Every muscle in the body tight and moving as in a slow motion shot of a high jump, the faceless body sailing up, turning, hanging for a moment in the air, and then back to real time again, then plunge, the rush down, the result. Margaret Atwood, Giving Birth.
Pause the track. Play some music. Next step. Laying.
Lay flat on your back. Stretch. Let your legs fall to one side and the other. Rock ever so gently from one side to the next.
Happy baby.
Stay on your back. Put your knees up in the air. Let your knees fall out to the sides. Reach up your arms. With your pointer fingers, grab your big toes. Rock again, side to side, more vigorously than before.
Rolling.
Still on your back, reach your hands up above your head and reach your toes out toward the opposite wall. Checking first that you aren't going to roll over any fellow exercisers or your baby. Roll all the way across the room from one wall to the other and back again.
But when we consider ourselves more than one at a time and admit we glean movements through copy and mime, we discover quite plainly that our actions alone reveal through our bodies all the people we've known. The patterns we've formed from symmetries deep inside us gain much of their shape from the others who guide us. Anna Craycroft, Developing Patterns of Movement.
Now, sitting.
Starting in a prone position, roll onto one side. Curl up into the fetal pose. Use your arms to push yourself up into a sitting position. Place your hands in front of you on the ground. Use them to stabilize yourself. Now slide forward on those hands into child's pose.
Slide.
From child's pose, push yourself up onto your hands and knees. Now crawl in a circle around the room, following each other in a parade. Jemima Puddle Duck was escorted home in tears on account of those eggs. She laid some more in June, and she was permitted to keep them herself, but only 4 of them hatched. Jemima Puddle Duck said that it was because of her nerves, but she had always been a bad sitter. Beatrix Potter, The Tale of Jemima Puddle Duck.
Except.
Flailing.
Flailing.
And learning to stand.
Learning to stand.
From your crawling position, use your hands and arms to push off the ground. Keep your knees rooted in the earth. Flail your arms and fall back down. Repeat 10 times. Push off with your arms, try to come upright, flail and flap your arms and fall back to the earth.
Learning to stand.
When you have repeated this 10 times, push up into a downward dog. From the downward dog, use your arms and hands again to try to push yourself completely upright into a standing position. Flap your arms, flail, and fall again. Repeat 10 times until finally you come upright onto your 2 legs. His mother called him Wild Thing, and Max said, "I'll eat you up." So he was sent to bed without eating anything. Maurice Sendak, Where the Wild Things Are.
Pause the track.
Play.
Sub. You. Sit.
Say next step.
Step.
Copy each other.
Copy each other.
Find a partner. Face each other. One person should start moving, and the other person should attempt to mirror their movements. Speed up, slow down, and when it feels right, switch roles.
This act of recognition rebounds in the case of the child in a series of gestures in which he experiences in play the relationship between the movements assumed in the image and the reflected environment, and between this virtual complex and the reality it reduplicates, the child's own body and the persons or things around him.
Jacques Lacan, from a.k.a. a selection.
Follow the babies.
If there are more adults than babies in the room, groups of adults should form around single babies. Cluster around the baby and watch it. Let the baby determine the movement for the entire group. If the baby crawls, crawl around and after the baby. Follow it. If it rolls, roll. If it sucks its thumb, suck your thumb. If it starts to fall asleep, let your eyelids become heavy too. To suffer with and for and against a child, maternally, egotistically, neurologically, sometimes with a sense of helplessness, sometimes with the illusion of learning wisdom, but always, everywhere, in body and soul, with that child, because that child is a piece of oneself. To be caught up in waves of love and hate, jealousy, even of the child's childhood, hope and fear for its maturity, longing to be free of responsibility, tied by every fiber of one's being. That curious, primitive reaction of protectiveness, the beast defending her cub when anyone attacks or criticizes him. And yet, no one more hard on him than I. Adrienne Rich, Anger and Tenderness. From Of Woman Born, Motherhood as Experience and Institution.